The Yuuzhan Vong. The children of Yuuzhan, the chosen race, or simply the Yuuzhan Vong. They were the extragalactic species that succeeded in destroying the New Republic during their invasion of the galaxy, that resulted in the deaths of nearly 365 trillion beings before the war was over. One of only a handful of races to have arisen from outside of the galaxy, the Vong were devoted to a culture of pain and conquest. And for such a hyper-aggressive breed, they possessed a surprisingly high advanced and unique technology that was entirely bioengineered and purely organic. In fact, they hated machines and anything mechanical, viewing such devices as blasphemy. The Yuuzhan Vong, even though they came from an entirely different galaxy, were humanoid in form, but taller and heavier than your typical human, with less hair on their heads. However, due to their religious beliefs that tended to glorify pain as a state of living, they would remake their own bodies by sacrificing body parts for their gods, with some in elite castes even grafting other creatures' organs onto their own bodies. So, what a typical Yuuzhan Vong looks like is hard to know, but on average, they had sloping ridge-like foreheads, short stub-like noses that gave them this skull-like appearance, ritual tattoos covering their bodies, and skin tones that varied from gray, yellow, and jet black blood. Though they purposely maimed themselves, they were careful to never let their alterations hinder their ability to function. In fact, usually the grafting of other body parts would enhance their skills. Their culture was one centered on sacrifice to their gods, who they believed had offered their own body parts in order to create the galaxy. Therefore, by remaking their own bodies, the Vong were mimicking their deity's sacrifice, thus bringing them closer to their gods. So, because of this religious perspective, the Yuuzhan Vong saw life as suffering and death as the ultimate release from that suffering. This is why the Vong felt nothing could be learned or understood, unless it was earned through pain. The greatest glory one could achieve was death in battle. For a species so devoted to death and suffering, the Vong actually believed deeply in life. You see, death for them was a prevalent, constant presence in life. The death of one creature allowed the creature that killed it to live, and the body would return to the earth, creating new life. Therefore, life allowed the suffering to continue, for there could be no death without life. Aside from devotion to their gods, the Yuuzhan Vong society was also structured around a caste-based system, divided between the warrior, shaper, priest, intendant, and worker castes. Most Yuuzhan Vong children did not know their biological parents until they left the caste that they were raised in.